What's going on?
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding. From the words I spit, so sharp, so freezing. So cold, behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in ceilings. I just need a taste and my mind starts feeling. I don't pace myself, I grind on kneeling. Got lust for change, I just love the feeling. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. Cause I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning. I live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If you wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon.
George Lopez. Not the comedian, because you're not rich or funny, but George R. Lopez from Dead Air. Hi, it's Debra Wilson. Remember me? Obviously not, because you never called me or texted me or emailed me or got in contact with my reps or anything else. In a modern world of technology, you seem to have lost my information. Decades ago, I did, well, a decade or so ago, which is still a long time, I did your show, your show, Dead Air. And it was wonderful talking about the paranormal world. And I'm still involved in the paranormal world. I'm sure you've seen things that I've done or snippets here and there online and ignored them. And I wanted to say hi. Yeah, that's it. That's it. So have a great. Well, actually, that's not it. Well, that was it. But the other thing I wanted to say is, why no letting me back on the show? I mean, did I offend you? Did I do something wrong? In fact, if I recall correctly, I even did some promos for your show that you can use in perpetuity throughout the universe, which is usually a contractual thing, and I did it anyway, and without being paid, because I chose to. I make these choices in life, and sometimes I regret them, but other times, whatever. So I would love to do the show again after over a decade of not being invited, but I would love to do the show again. So I hope I'm not coming across as rude. I just wanted to let you know that I really enjoyed it, and after enjoying the show so much, I figured you'd ask me back, and you told me the ratings were great when I was on, and people were really listening and hearing about my experiences, and there was a camaraderie between us, no sexual tension, just a camaraderie between us, and you never brought me back. What gives, asshole?
I'm not scared. Sure, I'm not scared.
I'm amused.
She's not frightening me one bit, but she's also not here yet. So I can say
Yeah,
that.
we'll see about that.
Good
Remember,
evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Dead or Live on the Dead or Full Spectrum channel. It is our Sunday night show. In about the next 2 hours, around the topic of the paranormal, very, very special guest, special friend going to be joining us here fairly soon, Debra Wilson. She just messaged me to say that she was running a little bit late, and I said, no problem. It's California time, dude. It's what we do. So she'll be here in just a little while. In the meantime, thanks, guys, for joining us here tonight. Anybody that is joining us first time in the chat, please, as always, requested, or if you're watching it even after the live broadcast, hit the subscribe button for me. Also, the reminder bell for upcoming content and the thumbs up, critically important. I think I'm going to do something different about that. Everybody does the same thing: like, subscribe, and hit the reminder bell. I'm going to put something together that maybe will grab more of an attention with everyone. Something similar to those Sarah McLaughlin videos, about
Yeah,
the
we
animals. So just
play on everyone's sympathy.
I got to do something to get them moving there. But in the meantime, yeah, hit that thumbs up, guys. Very important. Mr. DeCosta, how are you this evening?
I'm fine. In one word, it's cold out here.
Puh.
That's actually four words, but cold is the operative word.
When
But
we're talking cold in New England, what are we talking temperature wise?
oh well, with wind chill, it's about maybe 4 right now. Maybe about 4 degrees right now, but it's a dry cold.
We Floridians laugh at your Rhode Island temperatures. We
Yeah,
were at 22 last night with a wind chill of 9
yeah, you know.
in Florida.
But look at what you have to look forward to, though, for the
I
rest of
moved from what I was looking forward to. I'm looking in my rearview mirror at living up north and in New Jersey. And no, that's Florida's not supposed to have this. Mind you, we'll be back in the 60s by another week, but then Rhode Island could be also.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about North Carolina because Georgia, point south of us, right now they're I mean, my goodness, they get a little ice out there. I think there's only one snowplow in the entire state of North Carolina. I may be wrong, correct me if I am, but they have it rough down there when this happens, something they're not used to. The other thing is I hope that your electric grids are holding up okay.
That was my biggest fear and continues to be my fear as the temperature drops again tonight. As you can see, I'm bundled up because, as I've said before, that my office for the show is in my two-car garage, which does not have the heater vents in the ceiling. So I've got a little space heater down by my feet over here. I've been running it all day, and it's coughing up blood, but we'll persevere. We'll get through it, to say the least.
Background, I thought you were in the catacombs of France there for a minute.
It feels like it. I mean, these are red bricks. Look how cold it is.
Yeah.
Give you an idea right there. Um, but yeah, Deborah's coming on tonight after a 10-year hiatus. The last time she was on Dead Air was when we were in the Blog Talk radio days.
Yep.
We were phoning in the show. Of course, you had the computer for chat, but we were phoning into the show via our home phones. So it's got to be, a completely different aspect to it. But she's, been on a multitude of different interviews about her aspect of the paranormal and, of course, her aspect of entertainment. So, we're going to cover mostly about the paranormal tonight. And we'll try and get questions in from you guys this evening, too. But we've got a lot to cover and a lot to fill. So please definitely bear with us in regards to that. And then, I guess now's a good time also for anybody that's joining us new or again, post show watching this, that, there's multiple other platforms you can check out Dead Air on, including TikTok, which is Dead Air Full Spectrum, on our Patreon. If you'd like to become a Patreon member, we'd love to have you. Whole bunch of different topics and videos and surveys. And don't forget also our Monday night town hall on Patreon, which is Dead Air Paranormal, patreon.com/Dead Air Paranormal. Our Discord is a Dead Air Full Spectrum hosts on Discord. If you guys want to come in, join that. Again, absolutely free. Join us and just connect with some other like-minded people from the paranormal. Would love to have you join us as far as that's concerned. Uh,
Yeah.
am I leaving anything out, Ken?
No, I think we've got that covered. So we're kind of omnipresent like everybody else does. We're out there in more ways than one, but We appreciate your patronage. It really helps. The more you do that, the more likes, comments, things like that, the more you get YouTube's attention, and the more they will promote us at the end of somebody else's video who maybe has a similar genre to us with paranormal. So, this is how you spread the word. This is how people find out about this channel. And, I hope it's worth it to you. And if it is, hype us. Give us a little bit of hype here because it helps. I am looking forward to that. If you've missed it, Deborah had to go out, buy some food for her animals, so that immediately should endear all of you to her. So she'll be along a little while. We're going to get into obviously the paranormal, but there are different facets of it. The psychological part and the forensic part about following protocols and things like that. And of course, her own brand of humor. This is an amazing resume that she has in looking into her. Thank you very much, Joseph. Which one is that? I forget sometimes. um, Tremendous resume as far as not only dramatic and comedic acting, but voiceovers. You would be amazed. Her voice has found its way into things like Avatar
Yeah.
and different movies. And I believe The Nun,
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
So, and she's just an absolute delight, hysterical. So when she comes in, we will let you know. She's
Yeah.
on California time, but it'll be well worth the wait for you and us. So very much looking forward to that. Um, a mention about extremely strange. Those of you who are in the community section know that we've been taking a little poll because there are so many that I have lined up. This is what the winter does when you're inside all day. So we get a head start on that, and we're going to let you pick the next ones, and we'll go in percentage of orders. I think the Hexam heads are ahead right now in the next one. So I am more than happy to give you folks what you want to see. I am working on one right now, George. It's about the science and psychology behind the movie Ghostbusters and how all of that, particularly with Dan Aykroyd and his background, all was introduced into that film.
Sure.
Things in 1984 that we look at and take for granted now, as far as the different tools and devices and procedures. And it was a pretty amazing when I got into that how much that movie influenced people we talk about today with paranormal TV, and that certainly motivated people to get involved. But Ghostbusters, because it's been a while, kind of flies under the radar. But that was a real jumping off point for technology into the paranormal now. And I know it's hysterical, it's funny, but a lot of people may not know that it was actually the prototype was going to be much darker than the way it ended up to be a comedy, where Mr. Aykroyd was really going to take us behind the curtains of some of the things that goes on in the paranormal in his research. So, but the rest is history, and it's one
Yep.
of the most quotable movies I think to this day that has ever been on the big screen.
That and the only other one, otherwise, that I've said before that really strikes me as one of the pioneer films when it comes to the paranormal was the team that went in to the house in the movie Poltergeist. Even though they were doing reel to reel, it was still just an amazing advancement. And that was the first time I think we saw on film a paranormal team actually investigating. So, again, I don't know if art imitates life or life imitates art, but
Most
it's
definitely.
certainly nice to at least be recognized in those particular films for what it is that we do. But Ken, I see our guest has arrived, and as always, sir, I leave you to the introductions. Go right ahead.
It would be my pleasure. Tonight, we are really happy to welcome Debra Wilson.
I'm
You
scared.
know her from decades of incredible work in comedy, drama, voice acting. Her resume is wallpapering my desk right now here. But equally admirable is how thoughtful and curious she is. And Deborah's someone who brings intelligence, honesty, and humor into every space she's in. And we are genuinely excited and honored to sit down and talk with her tonight. So, without further ado, here's Debra Wilson, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, wait, let me make sure that I am, hang on. I'm going to put that back a little bit further from there. I'm going to pull my
Ah!
chair back a little bit more too. Here we go. Hey,
And then your
chair,
audio went
chair,
away.
seat, chair, chair,
Oh, it's nice.
chair.
You can be the
You just
winner of
won
the.
a brand new chair.
You too can be a winner of the chair that
Morning.
Deborah is
Hi.
demonstrating to you.
Your volume went
Hi.
down.
Thank you for
Something that you
having me
touched on your
back.
computer, your volume went down a lot, Deborah.
Say it again.
We can't hear you as well anymore. You started off fine and then it went down. Maybe something on the side you touched.
I don't think so. Let me see. My sound. How do I sound now?
Fairly low.
Is it because I went too far away? How's that?
Yeah. I think we can work with that.
My sound, let me make sure. My sound is all the way up. How does this sound?
Let me see what I can do from my end also. Settings. Audio. I'll take a look at that. And while I'm looking at that, I'd like to cordially introduce you to Ken DeCosta, my co-host. I don't think he was with us when we did it the first time.
I don't think so. Hi,
Yeah.
Ken. Nice to meet you.
Deborah, it is indeed an honor and a pleasure to meet you as someone who's followed your
Lucy.
career from back in the day. It is absolutely wonderful, and we thank you so much for coming on with a couple of stooges like us tonight.
It's been a while, so I was looking forward to it, and I was wondering when I would be back. But I'm grateful. Anytime is always the best time. Anytime is always the best time. How's the sound now?
It's the same. Very weird how it went out and it came back in again. I mean, I can hear you on the speakers, and I can hear okay, Dan St. Marie. We can hear you. Okay, so we'll proceed
Or
forward.
should I log out and come back in?
What do
Do
you
we
think, Ken?
do we tempt fate? I say not. All of you people that are
Are you
listening
sure?
tonight,
Because
if
logging back in should only take me a couple of seconds.
well, let's do that. We can just
She
Just in
knows the
sure.
case.
technology.
Just in case.
All right, give it a shot, and
We'll
we'll
be
see you in a
right
second.
back after these commercial messages. Don't
Yes.
go away. We'll be right back.
Yeah, I mean, am I mistaken, Ken? When she first came on, she was much louder.
Yeah, I mean, it may be the idea. It's a proximity to microphone, but it's fine.
It's possible. Yeah, and she doesn't have a microphone. It's connected in, I think, to her computer or whatever screen she's using right now. So
Uh, when she comes back in, I will definitely go down to her in the green room and crank her up a little bit. So,
I tried that, and it just kept spinning.
It wanted to. How's that?
Yeah.
Because I can see that my microphone, the icon of the microphone is actually bobbing up and down, which means that it's coming in. How's that?
We're at a good level here now.
Great. And that's you know what? Technology.
love it. Can't
You
get
know what I'm
enough of it.
saying? And all it takes some time is a reboot. Just go away and come back.
Yeah.
Now my screen is all in gray. There we go. How's that?
Everything looks great.
It can sound great. Technology.
And I'm a black
I
woman, so
love
I
it.
should be loud enough. Let's be real.
I was just making the announcement at the beginning of the show, Deborah, and we played the video that you made for me about why you haven't been back on the show in the last 10
No,
years.
why you hadn't invited me back? Let's be.
And
Let's
well,
pretend this is a court of law, George. Let's
I
pretend this is a
assured
court of law.
everyone that I wasn't scared. were terrified. But I lost your number.
It's all good.
I
Because
lost your
guess
number.
what? Full circle moment, right?
Yeah. And if it weren't for the kindness of two friends of yours from Texas getting us hooked back together again, this may have never
That's
actually
right.
come to
Brad
come to life.
and pardon me, I'm reaching for some water. Brad and Barry Kling. You can say their names. Let's name drop here. Brad and Barry Kling of Ghost Lab.
Yes, absolutely. Great guys we've had on the show before, also. So, oh yeah, you're going to see some comments pop up. People who wanted to say hi to you, also,
Hey,
that are in the
beautiful
chat.
people. How are my beautiful people out there tonight? And thank you. Thank you, Mary Beth. Grateful to be here. Hi, Sandy Andrews. Hi, back at you with your beautiful horse.
We've got a great cast in the audience. These people are wonderful. But anyway, so let's get started with this. What we tend to do is I go off screen so that Ken can have you for a little while, and then he'll pass it over to me so that we don't wind up talking over each other. It's a nice, clean interview then. And then I'll be back with you later on, and then we'll do some catching up.
Okay, see you soon, George.
The other bit.
Bye,
Hi,
George.
Ken.
Hi, Deborah. Thanks again. Basically, your resume is the wallpaper on my desk right now. This is like amazing. And I have my fake spontaneous questions that I'm supposed to ask you tonight. But I have a
I
feeling
never want to know what questions are ever.
no,
I know a lot of people ask for them in pre-interviews, but
we're going to go on.
I don't think it's a cool conversation unless it's spontaneous. And this way, someone who's listening can be a fly on the wall of us going back and forth instead of you asking and me answering.
Yep, I'm all for let's just have a phone conversation here.
Yeah,
And wherever it takes us, that's where we're going to go.
that's where we'll go. That's what we get off where the bus where the bus stops.
All right. So let's start with the first and foremost build a foundation here. You've been involved in your interest in the paranormal for a very long time.
Oh
So
yeah.
please, people come to the paranormal in different ways. I mean, some are innately curious, some maybe have had an experience at some point in their life, and they decided to, walk away. And some people go toward it and say, oh, I want to know more. So, where do you fall on that spectrum?
All of it.
Yeah.
I think as individuals we have experiences, or we're curious, or we're curious because of our experiences. And so for me, I'm the wide spectrum of all of it. Um, and believing in something even at a young age. And I think it started with I am not a Christian, but I grew up Christian. I'm not a Christian, so I'll make that clear. I'm not a Christian, but I grew up Christian. And so believing in an afterlife, I think as a child was the earliest experience with the idea of not the paranormal, but the body having a soul, that there was life beyond death. And so as I'm just moving through the world, and having certain experiences with family that have passed on, connecting the two together, and that bridge was such a wide bridge of curiosity and asking why is this possible, why is it happening. I never doubted myself. I never doubted that this was not real. Never for once did I doubt that this wasn't real. And so just going, why is this real? For me, why is this real? And then following that throughout my life, and then watching shows from an accepting perspective, and then realizing, Deborah, you're in this industry, you know that things can be faked or things are built up for that. But with my introduction to, in my naivete, in my introduction into reality TV, I always wanted to believe to begin with, and I knew people in the paranormal field. And later on, I started having the opportunity and the ability and the desire and the choice to discern and disseminate once I started getting to know people who were not only involved in the paranormal and did investigations, but people who were legitimately clairvoyant and clairaudio.
Mm-hmm.
And then going on investigations with them, having them come to investigate places that belong to friends, and so it just drew me into that world. But now, as an adult, as I get drawn into the world still, I go in on the skeptical side because I want to be able to prove for myself and discern and disseminate what actually is and what is not, what is possible and what is not. And
Hmm.
so, even if I am doing an investigation or have done in the past, I'm looking to debunk stuff. And if I cannot debunk it with science, then I go, this is very possible. I'm
Hmm.
always looking for things that are very possible. But in order to do that, I'm looking to debunk things so I can push that out of the way.
Right. Well, I know you also have an interest in forensics, and by its very definition, do you clearly apply that, whether it's systematic, procedural, objective reasoning, and all of those things, when someone perhaps makes a claim to you, or you have an experience yourself, whatever side that falls on, to say, okay, let's put emotion aside a little bit and let's just break this down to see if it's worth pursuing. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. And I think when you put emotion to the side, one of those emotions that get put to the side sometimes is fear. Because I
Mm,
think when you're watching it on television, when you're watching people have these experiences and fear comes up, it's trying to legitimize that what's happening is real and it may not be.
hmm.
Or for people who get caught into the frenzy of it and accept that for themselves on a psychological level so that they validate the fear that they feel, therefore they legitimize what's happening because their fear is real.
Hmm.
And so I'm always curious about peeling back those layers as well, because I'm rarely fearful. The last investigations, and it's been a while, but the last investigations, I was less fearful and more, not skeptical, but more interested in um, how steady the experience was going to be. If
Right.
it was something that would come and go, or if this was in a steady experience, and then wondering why that experience was happening steadily in that environment, what the environment was made of. Was it more metal? Was it more wood, where it contracts and expands, and certain sounds and things like that? Okay, what could that be? And so, as I'm using a science mind while it's happening, there is a calmness while there is an awareness.
Right.
And so when I can push that to the side, the curiosity and the desire to pursue it further um, gets to me. So it's not like there's no anxiety going through my body. There is. But I know how to tamp what I need to tamp in order to discover, discern, and disseminate.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the human condition a little bit, because that's something that we don't explore. Maybe we don't have the tools. I am not a psychologist. I've been doing this for more decades than I want to admit. But I want to talk about fear for a second, because fear can be a very motivating factor. And if you can introduce fear in a situation, I'm going to pull back the curtain. This is a dirty little secret of the paranormal when people go into homes and places. If you can exacerbate, if you can introduce fear and ramp it up, you can be very controlling. You can control people rather than take anxiety away. You bring it into the situation because you're looking for demons and you're looking for all this negativity. Um, but this is the thing that you see a lot with, especially in social media today, because I think there's a certain performative art into what people consume these days when they watch paranormal shows. And, there's always that element of fear. And that's the thing that titillates everybody and gets everybody interested. Do you think that is way overblown in our culture today with this?
I don't think it's way overblown. I think people's desire for it might be, because it's an old fashioned word that I use that kind of um, is the umbrella to all of this. It's called sensationalism.
Mm-hmm.
And so people are seeking a thrill. And in order to be thrilled, you already have to tell yourself that you accept the experience. Otherwise, there's no thrill if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
So, on a psychological level, you have to tell yourself that this is possible and it's real in order to accept the sensationalism of it and get that thrill. Because if not, you wouldn't turn necessarily to the reality of, or the reality TV version of stuff. There's plenty of movies. There's plenty of ghost stories and gothic horror stories and things you can watch and slasher movies and all of that kind of stuff. Because you know that's not real and you know you'll be safe. But I think we are always, as human beings, pushing ourselves into that space to delve into recesses within us, not necessarily to get to know ourselves better in that case, but always
Mm-hmm.
pushing the extent, the thrill, what drives you. I know what scares me, but how much scarier can this be that I can take? How can I take this, on?
Yeah.
And that is the thrill of the reality aspect of it. Because like I said, the sensationalism of it draws you in and you stay so that you can legitimize the sensationalism that's taking place, and make it real for yourself. Even if it's not real, you make it real for yourself.
Right. Reaching into your toolkit as an actor, comedian, someone who has worked at their craft and has that, you have an absolute finger on the pulse of that, what you just said, what people desire, and then you can always retreat to your safe space, right, after you've been scared. How do you dive into that toolkit when you're working on projects like Ominous, for example, where you're telling stories and you're setting these things up for people? How does that play into the storytelling aspect of some of these claims, some of these things that have happened?
Um, Ominous, first of all, I want to say that Ominous is produced, written, completely done by the Kling brothers, um, of Ghost Lab fame.
Mm-hmm.
And because I know them well, they're not colleagues, they're like my brothers. Um, and I know their families. They are my Texas family. They're my big little brothers, I like to call them. They're my big little brothers. Um, when they told me about it, I said, I want in. I didn't even know what I would be doing. I said, whatever you want from me, I want to do. And when they told me what their concept was, I said, I can record that from home in my home studio. I can get it to you. Let's do this. I don't want anything out of this other than to tell these stories, because that's what I do. I tell stories, whether it's video games or whether it's in animation, um, narration, documentaries. I tell stories. And so doing that was all about keeping an objective in telling the story instead of trying to assault you, number one, or
Okay.
trying to convince you, number two, or trying to make you want to hear, because that's manipulation. And that's not my job. It's not my prime directive. My prime directive is to tell the story and then allow my space to be inhabited by the people who claim to have been a part of that and give their voice perspective using my voice, giving their space perspective using my space, so that there is an objectivity while still having a tone that I set in while I do it. So it's easy for me to move in that space because it comes from a platform of objectivity to tell these things, even though I'm reading and knowing what these stories are.
Right.
Um, but finding a space so that the people who were involved don't come across as being crazy or manic or psychotic, but legitimizing the space. And I think my foundation is always about legitimize the space while telling the story, but always have a template, because you know that there's more than likely people who are taking this in
Mm-hmm.
will be able to find their own space in it. The best thing about being a storyteller is giving it away and not owning it anymore. And so, in order to do that, you want to be as objective as possible in telling that story while still using the template of what the whole backdrop is and allowing people to have their own opinions and their own feelings and their own thoughts instead of you manipulating them with the way you use your voice or tell the story, because you're not trying to convince anybody. You're just allowing them to hear the presentation of this experience
Yeah.
and present it that way.
Yeah. I have to, such brilliant points as far as telling people the story and now you judge. I love that aspect of it. Is there a case or investigation or something you've joined with Brad and Barry that maybe you've worked on with them that kind of lingers in your mind a
Everything
little?
lingers in my mind.
Yeah.
Everything lingers in my mind. When I first went to do an event, a live event that they had in Waxahachie, Texas, they picked me up and took me to the place that we were going to be investigating at like 1 o'clock in the morning, from 12 midnight to 3 a.m. And it was an old farmhouse, and it was turned into a restaurant. And it was the afternoon, and it was rather early in the afternoon, and so no one was in the restaurant eating, although the restaurant was open. And I had seen an investigation about this restaurant and the things that were happening. For me, my mind goes, that's sensational, because I had no explanation. It doesn't mean that it wasn't real. It just meant that it was sensational because I had no explanation for it. And so when we got to the restaurant, the server approached me, and she began to back away slightly. And she said, they're surrounding you, and it's just too much energy for me. And I didn't feel anything. So she walked back. She says, I'll come back when they move away. So talking to Brad and Barry, and I knew about from Ghost Lab how silverware would be crossed or moved.
Mm-hmm.
And I chuckled at that because I kept looking at the reality going, well, I'm sitting here. I'd have to hear something. Checked under the table for magnets as a joke, but it, did it anyway. And talked to them about it. I picked up my menu. I'm a vegan. I'm in Texas.
Good luck.
I picked
Good
up
luck
my
with
menu. If it wasn't fried, it was meat. And if it wasn't meat, it was fried vegetables, fried pickles, fried this, fried that. There was nothing that I could eat. So in perusing the menu quickly, because there was no need to go through the whole thing, once you see what the first couple of things were, like an appetizer is this and a main course would be this, you're like, I can't eat here. So we're talking maybe 5 to 10 seconds tops. 5 to 10 seconds seems like a shorter period of time, but in our minds, it's actually 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000. That's enough time to be able to hear things. That's enough time to be able to connect to something other than the menu, where you're not just distracted by the menu, you can hear things around you in 5 seconds. It's not such a short period of time. It's not a millisecond. I picked the menu up, 5 seconds, put it down. My fork and my knife were crossed. Didn't hear anything. No jingle, no movement whatsoever. I looked at Barry and Brad's plate. Theirs were not crossed. I turned away. We were talking. Come back. Theirs were crossed. Middle of the day. No hands on the table.
Was there any thought that they put into perhaps the silverware over time was magnetized?
No.
No.
No, because it's a regular restaurant.
Okay. I think I know the restaurant, by the way, in Waxahachie.
Yeah.
Has something to do with catfish, I think.
Catfish, it was called a catfish cafe.
Yeah. In your experiences, you've been on so many sets, theaters, sound booths. Have there ever been any locations that you've been in your course of your life, in the course of your work, that something happened that made you go, wait, what?
Yes,
Yeah.
I tend to be really sensitive about stuff like that. And I was working on Mad TV at Hollywood Center Studios. I was still shooting the show at the time. And I was told that Hollywood Center Studios, I forgot the original name of it, was a big Hollywood place, and that they had an underground that the all of the Hollywood stars would go under to avoid the public going in through the front gates, driving through, and they would walk through. Supposedly, in this underground area, they had a club, they had a bowling alley, that kind of a thing, and they had rafters above, um, and they turned those rafters into offices, mini offices, like you're at the roof now of the building in these rafters. And I'd never been up there. And once those offices were up there, I went up to go see someone in their office. I walked in to there were three small offices that were made into offices up in the rafters. And I walked into one, I walked into the other, and I walked into the third. And all I could feel very clearly and specifically was discomfort in a powerful and overwhelming way. And I mean discomfort as in violation discomfort, attack discomfort, hurt, pain, discomfort.
Hmm.
I walked back out going, all right, I'm fine now. Let me go into the first office and stand there for a second. Walked in with the person there, walked into the second one again, walked back into the third. It was worse the second time. And once I just surrendered the space within me, in other words, I didn't push it out, I accepted it. Accepted that this was real, accepted this feeling was happening and legitimate. I got more information out of it.
Mm-hmm.
There was a woman who was brutalized, beaten, sexually assaulted, and brutalized. It was an encounter gone wrong, in my opinion. So she wasn't dragged up there. She wasn't forced up there. She went of her own volition, her own free will. And things took a turn for the worse. It was almost as if she wanted to be in the business, maybe a chorus girl,
Mm-hmm.
and she was offered an opportunity to meet a producer or whoever up there
Yeah.
on the rafters, somewhere away from everything else. And she was beaten and sexually assaulted. She did not die there. That was the key factor that I remember very clearly. She did not die there, but her energy stayed. I went to the head of the studio manager. His name, I think he's passed on since then. His name was Pat Davis. I asked Pat about the past because I know that this was a historical building and very little had changed. He told me that those offices were not new. I thought they were new. He said, no, those have been there since the 40s, 50s, but we just used it as storage before we pulled everything out and made them into offices and did the wiring and everything else. One of the key things that I've always been told is when you change an environment, that sometimes that stirs things up. Then they added and made it electrical or rewired it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure with the electromagnetic spectrum of that energy that lingered, that brought it back into that space.
Yeah.
But the second time was extremely clear. It's not the first time I felt stuff like that. That was extremely clear. And that was at Hollywood Center Studios. I've also felt stuff on Queen Mary. And that's when I was doing an investigation with the late, great, and for all of you out there who might remember him from Sightings,
Peter
hosted by
James.
Tim White on Fox. His name, and he came in as an investigator, his name was Peter James.
Rest in peace. He's iconic.
Yes, he and I became friends. I've had experiences at his apartment when I would visit him. One time someone was knocking at the door and he ignored it and we kept having a conversation. And so I kind of was curious. I looked at him and then I looked at the door and I said, Peter, someone's knocking at your door. He goes, no, I know who it is. Someone from downstairs. And I said, well, then why don't you answer? He goes, they passed away and they still continue to visit.
Yeah.
They still continue to, in my energy. I guarantee you there's no one there. I went to the door. And as I got to the door and heard 2 knocks, before a third, it was always 3 knocks. Before a third knock could happen, I opened the door to be like, Peter, do you see this food here? Peter, you're your neighbor. When I opened that door a third time, thinking I was going to tell him, nope, these knocks are loud and clear. I'm going to open that door and you're going to say, see, your neighbor's here. That's what I thought was going to happen. I opened that door and my mouth was so fixed to go, I told you. And there was no one there. He said, I told you. And he said, I told you. He said,
Probably in action.
It doesn't happen all the time, but his energy is still here. And
Probably an action
he knows.
that individual did many times, and the residue of that energy still lingers there. Peter knew.
I don't think it was residual energy. I don't think it was a residual haunting. I think it was an intelligent haunting.
Okay.
I think it was an intelligent. Residual means that it repeats over and over and over again. I think this was an intelligent haunting. Because it didn't happen all the time. It came and went. Peter knew that this person was getting his attention.
Interesting. Peter James. Love Peter James.
Peter James.
Loved Sightings. To this day, still might be my favorite show. I'm going to bring George.
Next to Ghost Lab. Ghost Lab had me turn the corner in the paranormal world. When I gave up all the other shows for Ghost Lab, I turned a corner in my belief system, and I turned a corner in what was possible, and I turned a corner in the essence of my curiosity.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and bring George back in here to take us to break. George, if you want to go like a little bit longer, spend some time with Debra, we can do whatever we want to do because we own the channel.
That's it. And Ken, before you get off screen, though, Debra, I want to let you know, Ken's got a little bit of a celebrity connection too, but not to a person, but a property. He is a common visitor, or was a common visitor at the Conjuring House.
Wow.
Yeah. Fascinating place.
Wow.
Not the way James Wan portrayed it, but still nonetheless fascinating place. Want to continue and circle back, Debra, when I get back and down the road a piece of some of the things you talked about. And
no, some of the things I want to hear you talk about.
Cool. Absolutely. It's a deal.
Okay.
All right. Debra, thank you so much. We'll be back a little bit later. Love you, hon.
Very lovely. Very lovely to meet you. I'm looking forward.
Oh, so he's your favorite now.
I don't have favorites. I have experiences that are all different, and I have things about those experiences that I love. So stop it.
Okay, I don't feel that bad. All right.
I am going to, if you give me 2 seconds, I am going to give my Australian Ackie monitor his pinkies. He has pinky mice, and the first day of the month, I give him a treat, and he's getting 6 pinkies. It'll take me 2 seconds.
Yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, when Debra comes back, I'm going to ask her about her pets. You can't ask for better pets if you are involved in the paranormal. Forget about the poodles and the puppies and the kitty cats. when we do our town hall on Monday, everybody's bringing their animals on. This, and maybe that's something we'll do sometime, is request Deborah to come join us on a town hall with her pets. But it's certainly something interesting, and I think you guys can pretty much figure out what it is that I'm going to ask and she's going to say, and then you guys can really be introduced to it. And I'll give you a little bit of a hint too. I don't know if you recognize the shirt she was wearing on the initial promo that we did at the beginning of the show. It had a certain animal on her shirt, so that'll give you another clue as to the type of animals that she's got there. But again, anybody that's joining us that's never been here before, please hit that thumbs up, the reminder bell, and please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button also, most importantly. And then we'll get into this topic. But hope you guys are enjoying it. And we are so privileged to have Deborah join us tonight also. So you have unique pets.
I consider them unique. For me, they are. And my monitor went in to his crevice and will not come out. So he might have gone to bed. So I trying to get him to eat, but we'll see because he's been
How
running around and racing around for food all day. And when I finally come back with it, he's like, "I'm screw you. I'm going in my cave."
now,
So
how big is
we'll
that monitor
get him out.
now?
Say it again.
How big is that monitor now?
Ackie monitors don't get very big. Ackie monitors from Australia get about a foot to a foot and a half,
Oh,
2
okay.
feet tops, and most of it is their tail.
All right. I'm thinking about those
Yeah, they're a little
gigantic
bit
ones.
wider body. Oh, you're thinking about like large monitor lizards.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you got a little crawler friends too, or at least you used to.
I used to keep tarantulas and scorpions. I don't keep tarantulas and scorpions anymore, but I used to keep a lot of different species of tarantulas and a lot of different species of scorpions. I stopped doing that for a while, and now it's larger breed reptiles more than anything else. I mean, I
Incredible.
always had a reptile anyway, but tarantulas and scorpions were great fears of mine. And once the fascination overwhelmed the fear, then the joy of keeping them was huge for me.
Got you. All right.
Huge for me.
Let's go back a little bit because we tend to do this a lot with any of the new guests that come on before and talk about their origins. Yours, with regards to the paranormal, goes all the way back to childhood with your grandmother, I believe. Correct?
Not my grandmother, but my grandfather.
Grandfather. Okay.
We were visiting for the summer. My grandparents had already passed. The house was locked up. So when we visited during the summers, my father would open up windows, open up the doors. We visit. We arrived one night. It was late. So my sister and I were sharing a bed. And I remember late at night, the train pulled into the station. We'd driven from New York to South Carolina, but this train pulled into the station because the railway station, which had been there for God knows how long, was pulling in.
Right.
And I heard footsteps, not a door opening or closing, but footsteps walking in the hall. Very clear, very heavy, very meticulous footsteps walking through the hall. Our room door was open, but everything was dark. And walking and then stopping, not in front of me, but stopping as if they had already gotten to where they were going.
Right.
Not just an immediate stop. And I was nervous. And my sister wouldn't wake up, which was odd because she used to be a light sleeper. And so I was just sitting there frozen. And I couldn't move. I mean, I could move, but I was just too afraid to do anything. And then the train came out again, just looking for my monitor and see. Hang on 1 second. Wait.
Yep.
Yep. Hang on, George.
We are on monitor watch as we speak.
As we speak. Okay. And I'm just going to put them down.
Oh.
And he is going to eat them all.
What are you
Okay,
feeding him?
pinkies. Pinkies are newborn mice. That's what they're, just little pink little mice. But that's his treat once a month. Um, and he is chowing down, baby. You have to see this lizard eat. So anyway, um, I don't know how long the time passed. I was really young. I don't know how long the time passed, but the
Sure.
time passed, and I was too afraid to sleep. And I kind of sat up, and I heard the train again. Footsteps started again, and this time they started low and started getting stronger. Not the first time. First time it was just boom, 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 and stop. This one was low, bump, and getting, and then stopped at the door. And it was so dark, my pupils were dilated, and I couldn't see anything. And then all of a sudden, there was an outline of a man, just faded in,
Wow.
out of the dark. Flat top, so I'm assuming was wearing a hat, flat hat,
Right. Sure.
and then shoulders were square, so it looked like it was a jacket.
Okay.
Then the energy came. The energy was, you're safe. Go back to sleep. You're fine. Go back to sleep. No introductions. No, I am your grandfather. It was nothing mystical. It was nothing in that regard. But the energy that spoke to me from the inside, nothing verbal, was, you're fine. You're safe. Go back to sleep. And I could not comprehend the okayness of it, but I
Yeah.
was. That's the one thing I remember. I didn't comprehend why I was so okay with that, why the fear had gone, and why I was okay with that, knowing the terror in that moment was replaced with that knowing and being told, go back to sleep, you're fine. Almost as like someone's walking by going, shh, you're fine. There's nothing here, nothing to see. Go back to sleep. And going
From
back to,
the unknowing to the knowing
yeah,
within yourself.
to the knowing,
Yeah.
from the unknowing to the knowing. And then I found out my grandfather worked on the railroad. My my father was not a believer in the paranormal. He didn't like to talk about it.
Most dads
He
aren't.
didn't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
Don't bring it up, because he never had experiences, but the family that surrounded him, meaning my mother and myself, had experiences. And my father was like, don't want to hear it. And his sister. And to this day, after he had passed on, he was like, don't want to hear about it. The experience my mother had, one summer we were coming in, she rested in my grandfather's old room. She felt him get in the bed from the wall side and nudge over and over and over until my mother had to get out of the bed or fall out of the bed. And she was like, all right, granddaddy, I'm moving. I'm getting out. I'm getting out. She once, as a schoolgirl, had a teacher, and these schoolgirls, when they were walking at home or in the dark or together, they would link arms. The teacher would make them link arms. And as they were linking arms, they had gone through a passway, like an alleyway,
Right.
in Pennsylvania, in
Right.
Clarendon, Pennsylvania. And the teacher had my mom's arm at one point. She unlinked my mom's arms, pushed my mom away, and then they continued to walk.
Huh.
And according to my mother, the explanation was that there was a spirit walking through, and you give respect to the dead.
Ooh.
So my mom had experiences, but she never delved. She wasn't raised to delve. She was raised in a Christian family. There
Right.
was none of that. There
Sure.
just wasn't none of that. Bottom line. My father once told me, and I don't know how I got this out of him, or it was a conversation with family sitting around table, that my aunt, who was his sister, once she left, she said she would never go back into that house. Because one day she was in the sitting room and she saw her dead father come through a window and look around. And that was that. And my mother has come back to me. My father
Are
has
you a
had
firm
visitations with
believer?
other family members other than me, but my mother has come back and she's visited a number of us in certain ways. My mother called me on the phone after she passed away.
Are you under the belief, and many people are, that the gift is hereditary?
No, I don't think this is a gift. I think it's an experience.
So it wasn't
I've
something,
been given the opportunity to experience. I know that I'm a sensitive human being, so I can pick up things very easily.
right?
And I tend to be skeptical of those things I pick up until someone else says something. I was doing an investigation with Peter James, and we were sitting at a dinner table, and in the living area, which was dark, we didn't need to be there, the lights were out. I said, there is a man standing there. And I said this to myself. And I said, but you know what? Let me investigate within me. Do I want to look good in front of Peter James? Do I want to be the one to say it first? To act like I feel this thing? I said, no. It could be your imagination. You don't know where this is coming from. You have no explanation for this feeling. And you're not sure if this feeling is adamant, like other feelings have been adamant. Let it go. Because if Peter feels it, then you can legitimize that for yourself without having to say a thing. And as Peter was talking, Peter was conversing, talking. And all this says, there's someone watching us right now. There's a man standing there. Peter never even looked over. He just was talking to the two people that were there and said, there's someone standing over there in the living area in the dark. He's a man. He's looking for something. And we're in the space that he's looking for, because this used to be a grove, agricultural grove here in California, and he's looking for something. Something was buried, and he hasn't found it, and he's still here, and he's not leaving. And I just went, okay. I never said, I felt that too, or, oh my God, I was right. It didn't matter. But it helped me to just explain something. And every time, and when those things happen, I still go, where is that coming from? As opposed to accepting it.
Yes.
A lot of people accept that, and then they expound on something and start moving into a place of sensationalism.
Yes, I think it's a label thing too, because you and I are cut from the same cloth. There are things that I have been able to do, but I will not title myself psychic, intuitive. I'm just like, I can't, I don't know if it's a guaranteed thing that I can do every time, so I can't claim it. It happens, but I can't say it every single time. And I think a lot of these people who do put that title in front of themselves, psychic, intuitive, I think have had the similar experiences and now look at everything as a sign, everything as a message.
They obligate themselves
Yes.
because it becomes performative.
Yes.
It becomes legitimate because we don't legitimize ourselves. Other people legitimize us for us.
Yes.
And so I'm completely step away from that. And at the same time, theoretically, I believe that I step into the experience, that it's already there. I step into the experience. So I can't cause it. I can't make it happen. I just happen to be there, just the same way if I'm standing on a corner and a collision happens. I cannot make that collision between those cars or whatever happen. I just happen to be there as the experience is taking place.
As you were walking through the studio and you were picking up that sense of something dreadful happened in this one office.
And it was very clear.
Yeah.
There was, that's one of those things that was, there is no mistaking this. And even then I walked away to go, let me see that, if that really is. Let me see. Let me go to the other office. Let me go to the other office. Let me walk back in there. And that second time was stronger.
We call that validation. And then talking
I would
to the
call that
guy who worked
validation.
there, he double validated it for you, saying, yes, these are the things that transpired in this location.
Pat Davis said they would bring in call girls.
Yep.
Or girl chorus girls. Anyone who wanted to be rich and famous, anyone who would get out of the chorus and break free and to become a starlet.
Yeah, casting couch.
Yep.
So to speak.
Essentially.
Yeah, that's an incredible aspect. Again, that we think in the same mindset. Until I could do this repetitively each and every time, I'm not going to put myself into this box category.
Absolutely. And I don't believe that I do any of it anyway. I believe I step into the experience.
Right.
I believe I just step into the experience. I had that at the Museum of Texas at another event, or the same event the second night with the Kling brothers for one of their live events. I had a 45-minute disembodied experience with a black sharecropper. 45 minutes
Wow.
with people around.
Yeah, that
And
was a
what I did was
flashlight session.
I only learned this from Brad and Barry Kling, called an era Q. An era Q is what experience can you put that came from that particular time period, that era, that
Right.
you can allow that energy to feel comfortable and relate and connect to if it is an intelligent haunting. So you bring something from that era, either a song or a music or words or dialect or something. And so I started singing Amazing Grace.
That'll
And
strike.
I sat in, and they moved the entire sharecropper's home into this museum of Texas history. And the chair rocked a little. Other people took pictures and stood around. Chip Coffey was there.
Yeah.
He felt the energy first. And as people were gathering around, because Chip was leading groups around, and he's saying this home, the sharecropper's home. And then he did something that I felt was unexpected. He said he said he doesn't want you all here. He doesn't want you all. You all need to leave. You all need to go. So other people began to disperse and go through different areas of the museum. And he goes, but he wants you to stay. And I think it was because I was black. I was the only black person on that investigation. He says he wants you to stay.
The connection.
That connection. So that's why I believe it was intelligent haunting. And so I started doing a dialect. I started telling him about, if it was an intelligent haunting, about Barack Obama, John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, their assassinations, the right to vote, all of those things.
Malcolm X.
Didn't talk about Malcolm X.
Okay.
Didn't go that too far.
Gotcha.
That was a little bit more on the beyond the things that were happening that were closer to the 50s and the 60s.
Yes. Okay.
The things that were a little bit more, quite possibly, relatable to,
Right.
less militant in the idea and concept of.
And this was the mag light flashlight session, right?
I did have a mag light with me, and at one point, I asked him to. And for those that don't know, when you can have a mag light session, or what you call that, or turn that phrase, it's when you take a mag light, a flashlight, one of those large, heavy flashlights, and the batteries go in the front where you would screw on the light part.
Correct.
At the head of it. And you would just loosen it slightly so that the battery connection jiggles back and forth to go on and off. And when it's in off and you put it down in a stable position, without anybody touching it, without it rolling, without it moving, on a smooth 180-degree surface, and you test that surface, and you start to ask questions. If it is an intelligent haunting and they choose to respond, the light will go on and off when you ask.
Right. Correct.
And at one point, the light was so bright, because he was adamant when he said yes, that I asked him if he could dim it down. Not go off, dim it down. And on cue, it dimmed down. But I told him about all of those things. I sat with him. The chair started to rock on occasion. And then when it was time to leave, Chip Coffey came back over. People came over to take pictures, and he said he has a message for you. He goes, I don't know if I can't say that word. I think we all know what the word is, but he wanted me to know. Yeah, he told, got the information from Chip, or rather, Chip received the information from him to tell me that he ain't no N-word no more after what I was told, and that he feels comfortable to move on.
Wow. Holy smokes.
He said, I ain't no N no more.
Yeah,
I
chip
ain't no N-word
coffee.
no more.
Chip coffee is fucking scary.
And funny.
Oh yeah,
What a
he is.
great man.
Oh
It's
God,
been a
yes.
while, but I was a fan of his also. Um, and so meeting him for the first time and seeing how funny he was, how jovial he was, how easy and light he was, and then watching him go into that work, go into that space, get that information. I was also in the audience when he was doing readings, and just watching people break down,
Yes.
just watching people break down.
It's an amazing part of our field. You might want to call it healing, but I think a lot of the times when these people break down, the connection, when you're truly connecting to that spirit, and it's your first time experiencing it too, uh, there's nothing like it. It's indescribable. You just know, it touches your soul, and it really brings you to a humble point. And it also makes you really understand and believe of the afterlife and the things that go on there. So that's a blessing for what it is that we do in the field. Um, Deborah, I've got a list and a half of questions. So there's Ken. Do you need a quick break?
Nope, my break was feeding my my monitor, and then when we're done, I'm gonna feed the rest with crickets. So I have so many other lizards and my frogs, because I've got an entire tree frog enclosure that I put together of Australian whites tree frogs, and all I do is I dust them off, meaning with calcium powder, because calcium is good for their bones, and then I just toss them in and let them have at it. So
Any of
we're
them make
good.
noises?
Say it again.
Any of them make noises throughout the
They're
night?
extremely loud.
I was
They don't
thinking
they
that.
don't chirp, they bark, and they are extremely loud.
Oh my
They're
goodness.
very, very, very loud.
Debra Wilson, our very special guest tonight. I know there were some questions that have already been put up there in the chat. We'll get to them a little bit later on. One more question before I throw it back to Ken, and that's regards to the field in general. Now, same thing. I grew up. We had a ghost in our house. It didn't make a connection to put on a proton pack. As soon as I was legally of age to do so. There were many, many years where I was in the military, I was traveling, and then when I moved close to St. Augustine, Florida, I got back into the field, really got immersed into it. Um, but I don't know how long between your grandfather experience to you really getting connected with the field again. But in that time frame and up to 2026, have you really seen any advancements in this field? Are we running over the same real estate over and over again?
We're running over the same real estate over and over again.
Thank you.
And that's and my thing is this. There doesn't need to be advancements. Why? Because it's not an exact science. It's an exploration. But what's so beautiful and powerful and profound about that exploration is you will never get tired of that. You will never experience the same thing over and over again.
Preach, Deborah. Go ahead. Keep
And
going.
so it's supposed to be that space that you hold. It's almost as if you had a touchstone or an heirloom from your grandmother. You're not asking it to be different. It's no longer an heirloom if you go and change it, if you take out the jewels, if you change it up to make it into a ring, it's no longer an heirloom. And I think what's beautiful about the paranormal world is there is an absolute to it. And that absolute is that there will always be curiosity. There will always be wonder. There will always be opportunity. And as long as people are willing to hold that experience as sacred, as joy, as looking towards the stars, it is equally as powerful and profound in the spiritual world as it is in the astrological world, as it is in wondering about other life forms and planets, wondering about space, wondering about the stars. I think the beauty is the seeking, not necessarily the science.
Right. It brings us to a good point too, where
Hypothesis and theory is great.
yeah,
Continue having those things, exploring those things, delving into those things. That's what makes this aspect of the paranormal world so beautiful and profound and amazing. You know what I'm saying? It's
yeah,
I don't think it's something that deserves to be heightened in the way that technology is. Why?
right.
Because eventually technology lets you down. It always
Well,
will.
I think what's
It's inevitable.
alluring to me, it's always been alluring to me, is meeting the skeptic until they have their first experience. And
And
it
even if they don't, it's okay. You know why? Peter James said something that was so profound and so simple at the same time. To the believer, anything is possible. To the skeptic, nothing is possible.
right. And there are those out there that hold true to that without question. Steve DeShavi, good friend from the Dead Files, and Steve's the next New York homicide cop. He said all the years doing Dead Files, he never had a paranormal experience. Well, if you're not looking for it, you don't have your feelers out, your antenna up, your radar's going, you probably never will. But there are
And
those
that's
out
okay
there.
that you don't. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It means you've never had one.
You never have. That's it. You just didn't fit into that compartment. You didn't fit into that category of what we have here in the field. Um, wow, that's awesome. But I want to bring Ken back on again for a little bit because, again, there's so much more for us to cover on there. Just a quick question for you: humor in an investigation. Have you applied humor in your investigations? And I'll leave that question.
No, I keep them separate. Because my always thing is, depending upon who you're with, read the room. It's not about me trying to be funny. Read the room. Um, that's another side of what I do, but I read the room. And for the most part, this investigation belongs to everyone else. I'm along for the ride.
We
Most of
all
the time, I'm along for the ride, and it's been a really wild ride because, like I said, I've had things. Even my father, who did not want to have anything to do with it, once had, and they turned that railway station into a restaurant at one point.
Mhm.
And the woman who worked there told my father, "Your dad will keep turning on the lights when I leave. He always waits when I leave to turn on those lights or turn on the water." And my father was like, okay. And he goes, and he always wears this hat. Here's what caught my father. She described that hat to a T. My father had that hat in the closet. She described that hat to my father to a T, and my father was able to pull out that hat from a closet.
amazing.
He would never say, "I believe." He would never discuss it. He would never talk about it. It's almost as if some people have an experience and say, "This is what it was."
Yeah.
Is it paranormal? This is what it was. She talked about a hat that my father wore, and she described this hat here.
Yeah.
So it was very elementary for him. And I think the exploration of the paranormal world is too wide open for a lot of people.
Hmm.
But that's what makes the paranormal world so beautiful, because there is everything to discover and more. And whatever you think you've discovered, there's always more to discover.
Well, if you want to delve in, depends on how deeply you want to get, but there are so many elements to it. If you want to talk about physics, you can talk about physics. If you want to talk about theoretical physics, you can do that. If you want to talk about photography or videography and really immerse yourself into that aspect of it, recording, there are so many elements. And then when you find out like all the technology we use. What works, what doesn't work. I'm kind of, I owned everything, Deborah, at one point, and now I find myself as I get older in this, I'm very unencumbered by equipment. Less is more
Okay.
because I want to put myself in the same situation that the experiencers did. They're not going around waving recorders and everything. They're just sitting in their living room, they're having dinner or whatever, and then something walks by them and shows up. They're not investigating. So I think it behooves us to try to put ourselves as much as we can in that same environment. Who was in the room? When did it happen? Where were you sitting? What were you looking at? I think those things are very important.
Absolutely. To be still and feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Uh,
no electronic equipment um, is not the end all be all of the experience, because you're relying on an inanimate object, essentially an electronic object, to tell you what's going on when that may
right.
not be the case. So it's really important to connect from here, because what you're hoping to connect to was once solid matter. What you're hoping to connect to had a soul. What you're hoping to connect to had feelings and emotions. And so when you ground yourself in choosing that connection,
Mm-hmm.
um, you open yourself up to other possibilities without saying, this reader says this, therefore. These rods did this, therefore.
Right.
Without ever looking at, well, wait a minute. What's the temperature? What's this? What's this? What's going on? And I think when you put the equipment away and allow yourself to ground yourself, you can allow yourself a space of truth.
Mm-hmm.
But if equipment goes wrong, or equipment doesn't really work, or equipment works in a way that is not meant for that environment,
Right.
and you choose to believe it, you now say, see, but it's the equipment. So it has to be real.
Yeah. You're
It has to be that way because of the
fo-
equipment.
following a false positive. Sure.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
I,
And being not afraid of the paranormal, but being too afraid not to experience something. Feeling
right.
obligated to, if I did all this, I should. I deserve it. Feeling entitled. I bought all this. I was told this place is like this, and I didn't feel anything, and not wanting to feel disappointed instead
Yeah.
of instead of just allowing yourself to have an experience and go, all right, they can't perform when I asked them to. I didn't have an experience. I wasn't meant to, and to be okay with that.
Yeah. I'm
But
laughing.
sensationalism has been so rampant in the field for those who are what I would consider amateurs on YouTube, that with the onslaught of AI, it is easy. And with the onslaught of tricks, it is easy. And we've been given permission by shows who have been debunked in certain episodes
Hmm.
that the sensationalism is there. But you don't draw on just the sensationalism, you draw on how it caught you to begin with, and recreating that cool stuff to catch others.
Right. See, and I want to find out how you feel about this because we've often had this discussion on this show. Let me throw it at you. People talk about science, proving it to science and the scientific method. For me, I gave up on that long ago. That's another story. But the scientific method calls for repetitive experiments that should be done under the same conditions by anyone. That's essentially in a nutshell. But when you're dealing with the human condition, let's say that we pass on and we keep things like personality and character and memory and all the things in spirit that made us what we were and how they shaped us as human beings. Human beings are very volatile. Now, if I say, oh my God, I recorded a voice, I went in here at 6 p.m. Okay, so now someone else going to go in there at 6 p.m. Nothing happens. What is to say in that particular day? Because these are all, for the most part, former humans, and they have their ups and joys and tragedies and sadness. Today, I'm just pissed. For whatever reason, I don't feel like talking. Had, a bad, I don't know if there's such a thing as good days and bad days, but if we keep that human element, how can we conceivably expect these things to be repetitive if human beings were volatile creatures? We're like this all the time. Does that make any sense at all? Or
Absolutely. And at the same time, you want to distinguish whether or not it's a residual haunting or an intelligent haunting, number one. And number two, and the next thing is, at the same time, we don't know what that veil is that allows that. We don't know if the conduit is an electromagnetic spectrum alone, water conduit, whatever that conduit is, whatever that veil is, um, when and how and why.
Mhm.
And so there are just too many factors, temporal factors, to say it should happen again the way I would like it to happen, or it happened before that way, and it should happen again that way at this particular time. Or, like you were saying before, if it happened at 6 o'clock, maybe if I go at 6 o'clock, it'll happen again. Um, it's more than likely that it's a theory you're simply testing out instead of finding the truth.
Yeah.
Because if you wanted to just simply find the truth, you would go and have the experience itself, even if the experience is nothing happened. But I went and I investigated, and to be okay with that. I think in the equation, it's the end portion, which is I have to make something happen. I need to make something happen. I want something to happen. I don't want to be disappointed. But I'm like, well,
Mhm.
it's not about the investigation. It's about your ego wanting something because you wanted it so much. In the space of I deserve this, or I really want this, and I brought this equipment and I did all of this. It's like I got dressed up for the party. Why did you not let me in?
Yeah.
And it's less about that and more about if this happens, if it happens, it happens, and if it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah. There are a whole lot of people, groups, individuals who, because it sounds credible, they say, we arrive skeptically. And to that, I make this face. Really? Because people are still trying to prove ghosts exist at the end of the day. And I'm not casting a wide net. I really not. I'm not condescending. I'm not coloring with a wide brush here. But a lot of people who claim to be skeptical, essentially at the end of the day, as you say, most eloquently, they want to come away with something because they feel they're entitled to it.
Their belief system entitles them. Their
Yes.
belief system entitles them. So it's like, but it's not really your belief system if you feel entitled that this should happen. Because if you believed, you wouldn't need the proof because you believe.
Hmm.
Really is that simple.
Yeah. I want to circle back, and I beg your indulgence because I'm going to get to as many things as I want to ask you tonight. So I might be a little scattered here and there. So I apologize ahead of time. But I do want to circle back to the experience you had at the studio up in that, you want to call it attic loft storage area, where you felt emotions. And the immediate thing that comes to mind, maybe because I'm conditioned to think it, is empath. She's empathic. Now, I know that you kind of reject labels like psychic and things like that.
But I can say in that moment, I had an
Right.
empathic experience.
So that leads
I
me
won't
to,
call me an empath, but I would say in that moment, I had an empathic experience, and it
okay.
was clear, and it was even clearer the second time.
So I
There was
was
no
going to
doubt.
ask if this is something that has happened to you before,
Yep,
or was it just you were in that space in that moment?
in that space, in that moment. But as it happened
Yeah.
before, yep, Queen Mary.
How do you handle, okay, so how do you handle if you're feeling the emotions from someone else, how do you handle your own in that situation? Because those two things may conflict a little bit. You know how you're feeling, and that may be, an element of sadness, oh, this poor person, but yet they're pouring that into you. So I don't know if I've ever really had that type of thing. Can you just kind of walk me through it a little bit? What were
They
you
don't conflict.
feeling there?
They don't conflict. It's the same way as that if someone is telling you about their pain, you're sitting there having a conversation with someone who's like, here's what I went through, and you sympathize, you care. Um, and sometimes you break down and cry, but you're there for them. So you are involved and invested. So it doesn't deplete you as much as it does make you aware how much you care in that experience. And I think that's why I've had empathic experiences.
Hmm.
And again, I don't call myself an empath, but I've had empathic experiences because I'm there to be open to it and have an experience of my own emotions and how I feel for that being in that experience.
Understood.
And it was a soldier, but he was young, 18, blonde, and I think he was not American. The one thing I knew is he was not American. He might have been German. I don't know, but he was European.
Hmm.
And the thing that I felt was I felt as if when you experience a vertigo, when you feel like, oh my God, I'm tilting. I felt as if I was being lifted and then put down. I felt my body feel like it was rising and then I was tilting and being put down. And myself goes, that's odd because I'm standing still. But while I'm standing still, I'm feeling as if I'm being lifted and tilted over. And then I felt a crushing pain in my head. And I didn't run from it more than anything else. It was like, what is going on? Why am I experiencing it? So I allow the experience to happen so I can investigate what's going on inside of me. What I got was young, soldier, European, maybe German, blonde. He was being stacked with other dead bodies and he was being lifted and laid over.
Hmm.
The crushing blow was either another head or feet on his head, and they were stacking. He wasn't dead. He was about to die, but he wasn't dead. He was unconscious. He was losing life, but he was not 100% dead.
Hmm.
And oof, this bothers me. The last thought that he had was he wanted his mother.
Yeah.
He wanted to see all he wanted was to see his mother again. He just wanted to see his mother again.
Such a young boy, you know.
He was young. I definitely under 21, but he just wanted to see his mother again. That's all he wanted.
It's so heart rendering. It truly is. It truly is.
Yeah. And I stay open to stuff like that because I'm willing to feel.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen often.
Right.
It doesn't happen often. That was, oh my God, I can't tell you how many years ago. But when it's clear, it's clear. And I don't go into a space and I don't do investigations often. I don't do this a lot anymore. But I don't go into a space going, use me, take me. I'm open to you. I
Yeah.
don't want to be open. I'm not. I don't
Yeah.
volunteer the openness. I don't do shit like that.
No,
Sorry.
that
Because I don't know what's going on. I don't ever walk in.
no.
It's like
Nor should you.
to me, it's like bathing yourself in blood and jumping into an ocean. Sorry, I'm not. I'm not. I don't want to swim with the sharks. Sorry, that ain't me. So I never go in going, I'm going to be open and I'm going to allow. I'm there because, like I said, I love being on the periphery because I know there are other people who are having experience that want it more than I do. I never go and like, I want to have an experience. I want to have an experience. I want to go and be a part of the experience that's already happening, as opposed to, I wonder if I'm going to see a ghost. I want to. I don't. I go in to have an experience along with everybody else who really, really wants it more than me.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of the environment of it all because I want to learn something from that environment as opposed to expect a ghost to be in that environment. And I love when other people are like, "Oh, can you feel? Can you smell? What is this? What is this? What is this?" And then I go.
But I think a lot of times they're mimicking other reactions that they may see, in various forms of media. I mean, let me put it this way. Someone comes on YouTube, has a show, and likes to claim they've been in hundreds, if not thousands, of incredibly haunted places. And then as soon as there's a noise, they're like running around the room. And it's like, dude, act like you freaking been there before. I mean, you've done hundreds, if not thousands of these places, and there's a noise, and you're just absolutely losing it right now.
There
I
are
mean,
two reasons why.
that's the performative part.
The
I think.
performative and sensationalism,
Yeah.
or they're insincere,
Yeah.
completely insincere, completely insincere.
Because when people offer themselves, as you alluded to, and you see that happen, I kind of, my first, and again, I know I don't want to cast a pall over everybody, but my first inclination, Deborah, I can't freaking help it, is I doubt the veracity of their sincerity about what it is that they're doing. Because if there's not an element of hesitancy, I don't want to say fear, but, give me a word, but do you really believe in this stuff? Because if you did, is this like your thing? There's an element of bullshit in it for me. I mean,
Absolutely.
and
Because again, you have to have an audience to legitimize the space that you're holding, as
mm,
opposed to legitimizing it simply because you enjoy what you do and you want to do it. Which, like I said, when people who want to, if you want to investigate ghosts just to see ghosts, don't do it. That's my opinion. Get the fuck out.
yeah,
But if you already believe, then you don't need to see proof. You don't need to see proof. It's just a flourish if that so happens, instead of trying to manipulate the experience in order to make it happen. Because
yeah,
9 times out of 10, it won't happen. Does that mean you doubt your belief? What happens then? Do you turn around and say, "Yeah, screw it. Doesn't exist. Not real. I don't believe in the paranormal world"?
yeah.
Or do you still
I,
believe and go, "You know what? This wasn't meant to be in this
yeah,
experience"? But I go on many cases, or I go do a lot of things, or I have other techniques. It's going to help me explore how I approach situations. Maybe I have to pay attention to and hone in the energy that I bring into a space. Maybe I want too much and the other side can sense that.
right, right.
But I am grateful that when I am terrified, I freeze and I stay still. When I'm at my most fearful, I pause because I need to calm my energy down. My greatest fear is not the paranormal, it's my imagination.
Oh, that's good.
And
Yes.
so when I have an experience of anything that frightens me and my heart starts racing, first thing I think of, lower your heart, lower your heart.
Mm.
Don't move because you don't know if it's going to happen again. You don't know. Don't move. Because my fear is if your dumb ass runs and you trip and you bust your head wide open, it wasn't because of a ghost.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't run and then go, black people are the first people to die. That's movie stuff. So when I feel my heart rate go up, I have to stop and go, wait a minute. Is that because you watched a lot of movies?
Mm.
Or are you having a sensation? Well, stay still and feel. Because I'm not being chased tonight. A bitch ain't going out like that. So I'm going to stay still. And if the experience subsides, or I lower my heart rate. Stop it, stop it. Feel, breathe, breathe, breathe. Know you're scared, your palms are sweating. And I've had experiences where my hands were shaking and my palms were sweating, and I start to laugh. I'm like, oh, look at this shit. Okay, here's what I'm hearing. Am I legitimately scared? I am scared. Oh, yeah, I hear that. I hear that. I think that's malevolent because it's hissing.
Yeah, that's
Only
where
one
you
time
got
has
to.
that happened to me.
That's where you got to give yourself a little grace in that
And I
situation.
am, my palms are sweating. I pay attention to what's going on in my body as opposed to what that is. I go, okay, this, whatever I'm experiencing right now, I can feel it is drained the energy. It's getting hotter, not colder, which some people would be of the school of thought that that's more malevolent.
Yeah.
And my hands are shaking and my palms are completely wet and my heart rate has gone up. Okay, I'm going to leave, but I'm going to do it slowly. And when I walk, I'm going to walk slowly because I'm not tripping over nothing and I'm not letting nothing, I don't want to run and, that kind of thing where you run into a rake, step on it, smack you in the head. All that cartoon stuff comes up in my head. So I walk. And I remember when I walked out of that space, I just kept breathing and I walked by the light of the moon because that's all I had. My flashlight went dead. My walkie-talkie went dead. I just walked out, followed the light of the moon until I saw the windows of the building I was going back to, where everybody was. And it was supposed to be the first episode of something that MTV did called Celebrity Paranormal Project.
I watched it. Yep. Yep.
And that was where I had this empathic experience. Again, I'm not an empath. I had an empathic experience.
Right.
And what they did is the producers sensationalized it by making that the last episode of a number of episodes, decided to do more, and saying that an actual ghost possession, which pissed me off to no end. And I had no control over that. Pissed me off to no end. And they called it where one of the blah blah blah, one of the investigators has a ghost possession. Boy, that made me mad. I was possessed with anger over that, but it was another one where it was a young woman. She didn't die there either, but the lament was there. That was her greatest, being in that space was her greatest lament. And the energy was still there. But she did not die there. Which was interesting was the feeling was she didn't die at that age. She died older at the time. Okay. And so she was angry that we were there.
So maybe these are things that possibly led up to, or maybe some bad choices that were made.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Yeah,
and she was angry that we were there because she thought that the whole experience made, I guess, light of it. And she kept getting angrier and angrier and angrier and angrier. And she wouldn't get out of me. Not inside me, but out of my thoughts and my feelings. She was so angry.
Goodness gracious.
That she thought her pain was being made fun of.
I can see that sometimes when people go into a space and we're going to investigate, and the first thing they say is, "Did you die here?" Oh, yes, by all means, let's lead with the worst fucking day of this person's life, right? Let's lead with that and see. Yeah, I know. We've all been there to some degree. Folks that have submitted questions to Debra, I'm going to bring George in a bit, and I promise we'll get to those. Last thing, Debra, and I've been wanting to ask this all day. Anybody can have an experience. I think we can all agree with that, whether you're a skeptic or a believer, maybe you're more prone to it. or maybe you just pay more attention to your surroundings. But do you think that artistic, creative people who use that side of the brain don't necessarily have more experiences, but maybe they're attuned to them?
Nope.
You
I
interesting.
can answer that already. Nope.
Talk to me.
And the reason I say that is because if I had to look at it from a logical standpoint, just initially,
Yep.
in my opinion, I don't believe, and I'm not of the school that actors become these characters. I believe that these characters that are written are one dimensional, that you get a chance to use your body, your vessel, to tell their story that was written.
Mm-hmm.
And so, on the flip side of that same coin, you're using your body to tell that story is a choice and an opening to do that. So in the entertainment world, it's not necessarily the same flip side of the same coin as being able to go into the paranormal world, because it's usually not a focus or foundation to go, come inside me and let me
Mm-hmm.
use my emotions and my body like it's a possession. I think anyone who is sensitive and is not aware has as great a chance, if not greater, because they're not asking for it and they're not looking for it.
All
As
right.
opposed to, well, I'm a sensitive being. Well, there are a lot of sensitive beings.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be a sensitive being if I were not in this entertainment industry. That's just the way I am. And I think that sensitive being had nothing to do with artistry. It has to do with the way I was raised, and it had to do with my own personal experiences or traumas or all those things that make me me without having the industry be a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I am legitimately more open to being an empath. I just think it happens because I don't ask for it when it happens. I don't look for it. I like having, and again, the peripheral experience, while others who really want that to have their experience.
Right.
I just happen to be there. Like I said, I'm walking down the street. I happen to be standing on a corner while the light was red and an accident happens.
Fascinating point of view. I appreciate you addressing that because I have that conversation often. It's like, well, whatever. I want to bring George back in here. It's just, sometimes we love to sort and categorize and label. That's what we do as human beings. It makes us feel like we have control over something we have no control over.
And
Anyway,
that's the beauty of what the paranormal world and the investigation is all about.
yeah.
It's not having control that is the greatest draw.
Hmm.
Believing in something and knowing that you don't have the full control, because it also requests and requires that you show up based on the paranormal world with humility. And what we've seen on YouTube and what we've seen by certain shows, it lacks in humility while it ups the sensationalism. It makes up for in sensationalism what it has without the humility.
Yeah. This is why we come to learn. This is classroom stuff, George. We do have some questions. I don't want to rush anybody, but you folks that thank you, by the way, for submitting them. And Deborah, if you're up for it, we do have a few there. George,
Yeah, we'll get
question.
right through those. And I have to agree with Deborah, Ken, because I am a no talent son of a bitch. So, and I've had those experiences.
Everybody's talented.
Yeah.
Clearly,
You just
all
limited
our
what the idea
roads
and the
have
concept of talent is.
Right. Exactly. It's in perspective.
all our
Uh,
roads have led here, George.
all right, let's get to these questions. We're a little rapid fire here. First one comes up from Joseph Freza, who would like to know what's one of the most important things you've learned about the paranormal in your time in it.
There's no such thing as the most important thing. They're just things to learn, and what you put stock in, because ultimately whatever you focus on increases.
Do you have a lesson or that you kind of use as a benchmark?
Nope.
Okay.
And the reason is because um, every benchmark you want to set is a foundation that should be crumbled by something when you learn something new.
Amen.
Or when you realize that your hypothesis does not hold up because the experience keeps changing.
Always evolving.
And so what I like to do is liken it to sand in my hand. I experience it, but it's always leaving between my fingers. I experience what's in my palm for a moment and what's in my hand, and then it goes away. And that's the beauty of it, I think, because when it goes away, you are more fascinated with not creating, but allowing other experiences and allowing other opportunities. It's a never-ending world of opportunities.
And the next time you scoop up that sand, a completely different experience. Amazing. Mr. Thomas Owen has a question for you, too. Have you had any alien or UFO experiences?
No.
Interesting.
The answer is just simply no. But my fascination is there because I know people who are very credible in my life who have had experiences, and why I believe they are legitimate is they never said it was a UFO. They just explained what happened.
I see. I got
They don't
you.
go, it was a UFO, it was an alien. They don't know, but they know what the experience was, and they can't explain it.
Thus
My
unidentified.
sister, and she sent me the footage. She said, I can't explain this to you. She was visiting back to New York because we're from New York, and she was visiting back in New York. And she was like, growing up, I was always called Debbie. And she sent me the video, and she's 4 years older than me. And she was, Debbie, what do you think this is? Why are those lights doing that? She didn't go, oh my God, it's a UFO. But these lights were in formation and then switched their formation and colors. And she sent me, she recorded it, and it's like 2 minutes of footage, 2 to 3 minutes of footage, and then she texted me with it. And she goes, Debbie, look at this. What's going on? What do you think that is? Look at those. They're just hovering there like that. And then look at it, they just switched with the lights in a city in the middle of New York.
And that's what's bizarre because living in New York, I think you did 14 years of Parks and Rec.
Oh, yeah.
And no Bigfoot experiences, no UFO experiences, nothing wild in the woods. That's
I
crazy.
didn't never live near the woods. I was in the city. But the bottom line is because I'm from Queens. But the bottom line was, for me, it was a UFO. Why? Because UFO stands for unidentified
Correct.
flying objects. That's exactly, legitimately a UFO. Government is opening up and finally going, yep, they exist. Thank you.
Yes, we've known for decades.
We've known that. Hello, where you been?
Yeah, great report.
You
How
lying
much did
government.
that cost us in tax dollars?
Yeah.
So, Mary Beth has a question for you. Have you ever encountered animal spirits?
No, I have never encountered animal spirits, and I know people who have.
Yeah.
Through EVP and through images.
Wow.
Yes.
What? Back up.
What am I talking about?
What? Ghost spiders.
I'll tell you what happened. It wasn't my encounter because I was too emotionally close to the situation that when my animals were passed on, particularly cats had passed on,
Yeah.
I was overwhelmed with the grief.
Yes.
I was stricken with a grief that was a challenge to get over. And here's what happened. One of my cats, I put down because I did not know what was going on. And they would mark all over. I thought it was a bladder problem, an infection, and I couldn't figure that out. Could not figure that out.
Huh.
Always stayed under the bed. Put a litter box somewhere under the bed, and they would poo or pee outside of that on the side of the bed. This cat did not belong to me. I brought it from New York because the person said, when you leave, I'm throwing this cat out. And I just wasn't going to stand for it. So I took that cat to California with me. I had another cat at the time and a snake. And I kept trying every method. I was leaving the apartment complex where I was at because I was like, this cat is soiled so much. I've done all the cleaning. I've done all the stuff. Now I'm moving into a new place that's mine. And I don't know what areas would be safe for this baby. And I don't know what to do. Took it to a vet, a new vet, and said, all right, I'm going to start from scratch. Vet said there's nothing really physically wrong with this animal. And I can't tell you why. There's no bladder infections. There's nothing. And she was an older cat anyway. And I said, I don't know what to do at this point. I don't know what to do at this point. Someone else was going to dump her. I'm not doing that. But I don't know what else to do. And the vet was like, maybe it's time to let her go. And I was like, no, I gotta find a place. 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 No. So I said, no, adopt senior cats, adopt senior cats. Oh, she's got a bladder issue and she won't stop peeing and urinating. No one's going to adopt a cat like that. Maybe it's time to let her go. And I held off as best I could until I figured I don't know if I am or allowing myself to be capable to do this anymore. Allowing myself to be capable to do this anymore. And I took her to the vet and I had her put down. And the grief was overwhelming.
I know that feeling.
I failed her.
Yep.
I failed that animal. And
I know that feeling all too well.
She kept coming back, but she would never come back to me exactly. At one point, I was driving a friend home, and we were sitting in the car, and she kept looking over at me and kept looking at me. And I said, what? And she goes, you don't smell that? I said, what are you talking about? She goes, the urine smell, like cat piss. I said, I don't smell anything. And then she said, oh my God, it's on my lap. The smell is all on me. And I pulled over and I broke down because I knew what it was and it had gone away. I was still on Mad TV at the time. And at one point they called an exterminator to come up because they said in the offices and everyone smelled it. I walked in and they were like, there's cat urine, there's some urine. They're thinking they're rats that are leaving. We don't see any pills, but the smell is overwhelming. Maybe rats died in the wall, but there's the smell. And I sat in the hallway and I just broke down because I knew it was her. And then it went away. And then another time, I had someone visiting me from New York. And we were having dinner at a friend's apartment. And she went back to go get something from my apartment. And she came back to me and said, I saw Sputnik. I said, no, you didn't. She's gone. She goes, no, she was by the couch because I saw her paws. And she doesn't look like Nala, which is the cat I had. She goes, she's not like Nala. And I looked around the couch, around to see where these paws were coming from. And Sputnik looked up at me and I turned away going, wait a minute, I know Sputnik's not here. And then when she looked back, Sputnik was gone. And I hired an animal communicator. And the animal communicator told me this cat was not happy in this body. It had lived another life and this body wasn't working for them and they didn't want to be here anymore. And she said to tell you, thank you for letting her go.
Wow.
Because I was the only one. I just kept saying, I can't let her go because someone else was going to throw her out. And I said, I can't get rid of her. I can't do that. I can't fail her like somebody else was going to. And then when I felt like I had no other alternatives and I put her down, I just kept crying with her in my eyes, going, why? Why do I have to do this? I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And I couldn't get over my grief, so I hired an animal communicator, and she said she wants to tell you that she's grateful that you let her go. She didn't want to be here anymore. And so my grief kept bringing her back. My grief kept bringing her back. She couldn't move on because my grief could not let her go. She
Yes.
was tied to my grief.
Yes.
And so I finally let go of my guilt. It was destroying me from the inside. It was just destroying me. And so many people had experienced not only my grief, but they experienced that smell of marking, staff, person in my car, someone who witnessed her as a full-bodied apparition. And
You okay?
yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was a lot. It was a lot. So yes, I did have that experience. Also, I adopted a kitten while I was in LA, and after a number of years, it developed a brain tumor. It was pressing against the brain so much, the vets were saying, this is inoperable. Do you want to have us put her down? And I was like, she hates the vets. She was terrified. I said, I'm just going to keep her. I'm going to keep her safe with me because I know it's going to take her life, but I want to be with her. I don't want to, this cat there was an abject terror of a vet's office. So I said, I'm going to keep her with me. And the day she died, it was painful. She was screaming, and I held her and I said, I got you, baby. I got you, baby. I got you, baby. It's going to be over soon. It's going to be over soon. I'm not leaving you. Mommy's right here. And then she passed in my arms. And I took her body in to the vet's office for cremation, and I fell asleep. And I've never had a lucid dream. A lot of people have lucid dreams of where family members and loved ones who have passed over come
Yes.
back and they speak to you, and they're not dreams. They come to visit you. It is an actual visitation, and I've had legitimate visitations told to me by family members. And so my first lucid dream was her coming back to me. I fell asleep, and it felt like I did this sleep and straight back up. She was purring so loud at the end of the bed on the ground that I got to the end of the bed and looked over, and there she was. No tumor. She was on her side, purring and pawing. I got down on the carpet with her, behind her, and let her rub up against me. I could smell her fur. Her body was warm. And my mind goes, she's passed over and she's good.
Yeah.
She's passed over and she's fine. She's healthy now. She's cancer-free, no tumor, away from pain, and she's happy. Because of the satisfaction, I got back into the bed, lay down, and as soon as I lay down, it felt like I woke straight back up again. It felt like all of this happened within 2 to 3 minutes, and it was overnight. So yes, I've had animal visitations.
And it's interesting how you freed your cat's spirit
Yeah,
by freeing up your own grief.
my snake even did that.
Same grief?
My snake, he had inclusive body disease, and it's an infection. It's a viral infection that slowly deteriorates all your organs until you die. And what ended up happening is because we were so close, I used to call him, and before I knew it was a viral infection that was causing this, I used to call him a grumpy old man. You're just a grumpy old man, grumpy old man. That same animal communicator was reading him and said, your snake is very intelligent. So what do you mean? She goes, he's aware of you and your relationship. But he's showing me a picture of a man, human man, and he's bent over and he looks angry. He looks like she said, looks crotchety. He's like a crotchety, crotchety old man, like like
Right.
a grumpy old man. And she said, grumpy old man. Then, when he was about to pass, I was always going to check on him, always going to check on him, always going to check up. Okay, let me go check on you. Let me go check on him. And then one time, I was told empathically, go and check on him. I ignored it because I was like, no, because that's you wanting to go check on him because you're neurotic. You're neurotic. You stop. Just get some sleep. Came back again. Go check on him. Go check on him. No, because no, I'm done. No, I'll check on him in the morning because I kept checking on him all day. I'll check on him in the morning. Go check on him right now. And when I went to go check on him, he was gone. The third time, because it kept nagging me. And I don't know, and I will not say what it was, but I believe that it was his energy. Or it was me going, I should do it, but I'm not going to. I should do it, but I'm not going to. Why do I want to? But I didn't know why. That's the only thing.
Right.
So I can't legitimize that with anything. But I will say that I don't know why, because I had already done that a number of times. And usually my own thought process is, you know what, let me go check again. You know what, let me go see. You know what, just go up and see. But the notion came to me uninvited.
Right.
3 times. The notion came to me.
It wasn't going to let
Uninvited.
go.
Because if I wanted to go do it, I've always been doing it. I've always been going like, you know what, let me go check. You know what, it's a conscious decision. It's an aware decision. But this one wasn't an aware decision. It was like, go and do it. But normally I'm aware, especially in that situation, which has been going on for a while, to where like, you know what, let me go do this. You know what, I want to go do this. You know, I'm thinking about him right now. Let me go and do this. You know what, have I checked on one in a while? So it's always been a conscious decision. That one did not feel conscious. It felt like a notion.
Wow.
That I was told to do.
And if it wasn't the
So,
third
yeah,
time,
I
there
did
would
have
have been
those
a fourth.
experiences.
Yeah, if you didn't check the third time, there would have been a fourth. It would not have let you go. Just telling you, check on them. I cannot thank you enough for sharing that with our audience too. And I know a lot of them started saying they were crying listening to your story. And that's what touches us here in the field. I think a lot of people lose connection with that. When we do what we do, we're connecting with the souls, the spirits, the stories that they have to tell. And it is sometimes, again, taken away for the aspect of performance and showmanship, anything that we see out there. It's a very private thing and doesn't always need to be recorded on camera. It doesn't always need to be recorded on video. Have that personal experience because it'll stay with you till your dying days.
Yeah.
That's what's incredible. Ken, you want to come back on here with us as we close out? We went past our 2-hour mark. I'm going to ask you, Deb, if you would just indulge us for a few minutes after we close off the show, because there's something that I wanted to present to you also. But I want to thank you on behalf of Ken. Ken, any final words with Deborah?
I do. I want to just say this. I don't know what I am going to do without Deborah this week. And I can't be more sincere. Deborah, it was such an honor to talk to you and share some stories, get your insights on stuff. This is one show that's meant personally a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time tonight. And
thank you for yours, George. It was lovely meeting you. I mean, Ken, I'm sorry. George, I've met you before.
We'll do this again another 10 years. Don't worry about it.
let's not. Let's this is like one of these Haley's Comet deals.
Yeah,
Deborah, come back, see us.
We'll change that to 10 weeks or something like that. But
okay.
But yeah, we're going to close out here, guys, tonight. Town Hall with Patreon tomorrow night. So we'll talk about tonight's show and some other things on the docket. So make sure you guys Check it out, Patreon Town Hall tomorrow night. Those of you who'd like to join us on Patreon, patreon.com/Deader Paranormal. I'm getting tongue twisted now. But on behalf of Ken DeCosta, you've been watching Deader Live on our Sunday night show. Thanks for watching. We'll be back in a... Uh-oh, Deborah's freaking out again. Quick, Ken, hit the music.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lip.